So this episode, we're going to talk about supply and demand. And in this concept, there are 4 key terms that you get to understand in order to really comprehend supply and demand. The first one is a market. A market is where buyers and sellers come together to complete a transaction. There are different types of markets, like a stock market is where stocks are bought and sold. A product market is where a product is bought and sold. The next term is ceteris paribus, and this is used in a lot of economic definitions. So ceteris paribus in Latin, it means all other things being equal. So this is used in economics, where we say if this thing happens, and you say ceteris paribus after that, we're only looking at the direct effect of that one thing. Because if you take into account everything else in the economy, it could become way too complicated for you to do anything with it, and then economics just becomes like a pile of useless things. So, supply is the next key term. And supply is the willingness and the ability of a producer to be able to produce a quantity of a product at any given price in a given time period. The supplier must be both willing and able to produce that product. And the final key term is demand. And demand is the quantity of a product customers can purchase in a given time period. The customers must be both willing and able to purchase that product at that price. Now, we get into the concept of demand. So, the law of demand states that as the price of a product falls, the quantity demanded of that product increases, ceteris paribus. And that means that as the price falls, the quantity demanded of that product increases. And we just look at that. We're going to look at how other products affect this. So as you can see, we have a table and a graph over here. The table shows price versus quantity demanded. So the price decreases going from 20 to 12 to 8 to 4. Quantity demanded increases, goes from 100 to 150 to 225 to 400. And this is shown on the graph over here. So the quantity demanded goes on the x-axis, and the price goes on the y-axis. As you can see, when the price decreases, the quantity demanded of the product increases a lot, and when the price is high, the quantity demanded for that product is really low. That makes sense. When the price is low, you want to buy that product, and a lot of people can buy that product. But when the price increases, not that many people can buy that product, and not many people want to buy that product at that price. And this curve is usually written in a linear format like this, because it's much easier to model. Like this curve would be like an 1 over x or something like that, but this curve would just be negative x. So in economics, the curves, even though in real life they would be curved, are usually written as a straight line. Now let's take a look at non-price determinants of demand. So, what are they? Those are various things that can affect the demand of a product or good without directly influencing the price of that product or good. An example of that would be income. So let's say the average income in an economy goes down by 10%. So that's going to have an effect on how much goods they buy. It's going to affect their disposable income. So if we take a look at just generally cars, for example, obviously if the income goes down by 10%, not many people are going to be able to buy cars. But we can go a bit further than that. So let's compare the van with the sports car, okay? Let's say that's a top of the line 100K sports car. This is very much a luxury. It's not a need. People who buy those just want like a hobby to drive around, right? So if their income takes a significant hit, they're not going to be as much pushed to buy that car. So we're going to see a significant decrease in the demand for that car. So how can we represent this change in demand graphically? So we're going to draw a graph with quantity demanded on the x-axis and price on the y. So before the demand decreases, we're going to see a demand curve out here, okay? But once the income decreases, we're going to see a decrease in the demand for cars. So I'm going to shift to over here. And this is different from a change in the quantity demanded of a product, okay? A change in the quantity demanded happens when there's a change in the price of a product, right? So that would represent a change along the curve. This is different. This is a change in the demand for the product, which means the demand curve itself shifts to the left. Okay? So the entire curve is going to shift over here. And that's how you represent a change in demand. So there are two more non-price determinants of demand that we need to look at. The first one are substitutes. So substitutes are obviously things that can replace other things. So let's take a look at bacon, for example. Okay? Got some squeaky bacon over here. Let's say the price of bacon for a strip is like $1. Okay? But now, let's look at a substitute for bacon, which could be like chicken, right? And let's say the price for chicken goes from $1 and it goes to 50 cents. So now, the price of chicken has gone down by half. Okay? So now people are gonna buy chicken instead because chicken is now twice as cheap. So we're gonna see an increase in the quantity demanded of chicken. And now since people are gonna switch from bacon to chicken, there's gonna be a decrease in demand for chicken. So again, let's represent it graphically. Let's draw two curves. Here's price, quantity demanded of bacon, and price, quantity demanded of chicken. Okay? So for chicken, we're going to see just one curve, and it's a change in the price. So say it's point A, point B. This represents $1. This represents half a dollar. So it's a change along the curve representing a change in the quantity demanded. But for bacon, it's different. There's a change in the demand, okay? So instead we're going to have two curves. This is going to represent the demand for bacon before the change in price of chicken. And this is going to represent the demand for bacon after the change in price of chicken. So we're going to see that the demand curve for bacon is going to shift to the left. So now, the other non-price determinant of demand, that is complementary products. Okay? So an example of that, let's look at TVs, for example. Okay? Yeah, flat screen LED TV over here. Let's say the price of this is $1,000. Now, what could go with a TV? Which is like, if you're gonna go buy a TV, what would be something that you'd buy along with a TV? Let's say, like Boxing Day is coming up, and you're gonna buy yourself a DVD player. Okay? So these two things kind of go along with each other. And let's say the price of the DVD player is $100. Well, let's say since it's Boxing Day, you know, the price of that DVD player goes from $100 to $50. And now people are like, whoa, the price of the DVD player changed. And if I want to set up my home theater system, instead of $1,100, it's just $1,050. So now it's more affordable, maybe more people want to buy it. So, again, this is going to represent a change in demand for the TV. And now it's going to be a change up. It's going to be an increase. So how do we represent this graphically? Got two curves. We got price, quantity demanded, price, quantity demanded. Now let's take the DVD player. We got one curve. This is $100, $50. Okay? So now the price has gone down. So we can shift along the curve. And now that's going to change demand for the TV. Two curves. The demand for the TV is going to increase, which means it's going to shift to the right. So now, when the price of a complementary product goes down, the demand for that product's complement, it's going to go up. And vice versa, if the demand of it went to $200, it'd be more expensive to set up that home theater system. So it's going to go the other way. And the demand for the TV is going to instead shift to the left. So now we can take a brief look at some minor non-price determinants of demand. Those would be like, for an example, that would be the age of the population, okay? So if we compare like a country where the average age is young, it's gonna be into more like new things like skateboarding and like phones, I guess. Whereas like in a country with where the average age is older, the population is gonna lead towards like more old things, like patio furniture, right? There are other factors, other non-price determinants of demand that will affect the demand of our product. Examples would be like cultural trends, government policies, age of the population, but those are very minor. However, there is a notable exception to the law of demand, and products that follow that exception are called Veblen goods. So Veblen goods are goods where when the price increases, the demand for their product increases. And that defies the law of demand that we've been looking at so far. So, quantity of demand on the x-axis, price on the y. Right? So, at low prices, these goods are going to follow the law of demand. It's going to look like this. Okay? However, after a certain price, that product becomes known as a luxury good. So people want to buy that product. So in fact, as the price increases, the quantity demanded of the product is going to go up. So now the curve is going to look like that. So like I said, below this line, that product acts like a normal good, follows the law of demand. Above that line, it doesn't, it's the opposite. And this line, it can be known as like a snob value line, okay? So we have lots of examples of Veblen goods in our lives. An example of that would be the iPhone, okay? iPhones are significantly more expensive than other phones, but everyone buys them, right? And no one wants to buy a cheap phone because they think it'll burn out in like a couple days. So like no one's gonna buy cheap phones. So if we take this as the price of a phone, low price phones are gonna have very little demand. But as the price goes up, and we can say like an iPhone at this range, the demand is gonna go up. And that's an example of a Veblen good in our lives.
The harder you ball, well I'm throwing mine, 'cause my money long. The quicker you're here, the faster you go.